Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the largest warship humanity had ever built. The UHSF Sovereign's raft stretched 12 kilometers from front to back. Its metal hull was made from neutronium, the strongest material humans knew how to make. The ship was so big that it had its own gravity system and weather patterns in some sections. 50,000 people lived and worked inside the massive vessel. They were the best soldiers, scientists, and engineers Earth could offer. Elena had spent 3 years getting to know many of them. She was proud to be their captain. The bridge was huge, with screens showing space in all directions. Stars looked like tiny diamonds against the black void. Earth hung in the distance, a blue marble that seemed impossibly small compared to the ship Elena commanded. She could see the moon and Mars, where humans had built cities and factories. "Captain," said Lieutenant James Park from his station, "all systems are ready. The Alcubierre Chun drive is online and waiting for your order." Elena nodded. The drive was new technology that could fold space itself. It would let them travel faster than light without actually moving faster than light. The scientists said it was safe, but this would be the first time anyone used it to go so far from home. "Status report from all departments," Elena ordered. "Weapons. Systems ready," called out Commander Sarah Kim from the tactical station. "All antimatter cannons are loaded and charged. Quantum fold shields are at full power." Elena still found it hard to believe the weapons they carried. The antimatter cannons could destroy entire cities with a single shot. The shields could stop almost any attack the enemy might use. At least, that was what the tests showed. "Navigation ready," reported Ensign Martinez. "Course plotted for the Helix Nebula. Estimated travel time is 18 days. Engineering reports. "All systems green," added Chief Engineer Thompson over the COM system. "The fusion reactors are running perfectly. All backup systems are online." Elena looked at the sealed orders on her personal screen. 3 days ago, Admiral Chun had given her the mission briefing. Strange energy readings had been detected beyond the Helix Nebula. Something was out there, something that did not match any known natural phenomenon. The readings were strong enough to be detected from Earth, which meant whatever was making them had to be incredibly powerful. "Any word from Earth Command?" Elena asked. "A last transmission came in 10 minutes ago," Park replied. "Admiral Chun sends his wishes for a successful mission." No new orders. Elena took a deep breath. For 300 years, humans had been spreading across the solar system. They had built colonies on dozens of worlds and moons. They had fought wars against each other and learned to work together. But they had never found any sign of alien life. This mission might change that forever. "All hands, this is the captain," Elena announced over the ship-wide communication system. "We are about to begin our journey into unknown space. Our mission is to investigate energy signatures that might represent first contact with alien intelligence. Every person on this ship represents the best of humanity. Whatever we find out there, we will face it together." She paused and looked around the bridge at her crew. These were good people, brave people who had volunteered for a mission that might take them far from home for months or even years. "Helm, engage the Alcubierre Chun drive. Take us to the Helix Nebula." "Aye, Captain. Engaging drive in 3 ... Mark. The universe changed around them. Elena felt a strange pulling sensation, as if her body was being stretched in directions that did not exist. The stars outside the windows began to blur and shift. Space itself seemed to fold like paper being crumpled up, then it stopped. The stars were different now, arranged in patterns Elena had never seen before. According to the navigation computers, they had just traveled 47 light-years in less than a second. "Drive shut down complete," reported Martinez. "We are now in the outer edge of the Helix Nebula system." "All systems stable," Elena smiled. The drive worked perfectly. They were farther from Earth than any human had ever traveled before. "Begin long-range scans," she ordered. "I want to know everything about this system. Look for any signs of artificial structures or energy sources." The science teams went to work immediately. Dr. Marcus Chun, the ship's expert on alien archaeology, even though no alien artifacts had ever been found, was especially excited. Elena could see him hunched over his instruments, studying every piece of data the sensors collected. Hours passed as they moved deeper into the nebula. The Sovereign's Wrath moved slowly and carefully, scanning everything around them. The nebula was beautiful, with clouds of colored gas swirling around young stars. But Elena was not interested in the scenery. She wanted to find the source of those energy readings. "Captain," Dr. Chun called out suddenly, "I'm detecting something strange. There's a large object about 2 million kilometers ahead." "It's not natural." Elena moved to his station and looked at the display. The object was huge, easily the size of a small moon. But its shape was all wrong for a natural body. It had straight edges and geometric patterns that nature did not make. "Are there any energy readings?" Elena asked. "Very faint ones," Chun replied. "Whatever it is, it's mostly powered down." "But Captain, look at this." He pointed to another part of his screen. "I'm detecting metal alloys that don't match anything in our database. This thing is definitely not human." Elena felt her heart start beating faster. This was it. This was what they had come to find. Proof that humans were not alone in the universe. "Red alert," she announced. "All hands to battle stations." This is not a drill. Alarm lights began flashing throughout the ship. The crew moved quickly to their emergency positions. Elena had drilled them hundreds of times for this moment, but she knew that nothing could really prepare them for finding alien technology. "Weapons online," reported Commander Kim. "Shields raised to maximum power." "Take us closer," Elena ordered. "But keep our distance." Full sensor sweep of that object. As they got nearer, the alien structure became clearer on their screens. It was definitely artificial, with smooth metal surfaces and structures that followed no human design principles. Lights began to flicker on its surface as they approached, as if their presence was waking it up. "Captain, I'm reading massive power spikes from the object," Dr. Chun reported. "It's coming online." Elena gripped the arms of her command chair. Whatever was about to happen, the Sovereign's Wrath was ready for it. They had the most powerful weapons and shields humans had ever built. But facing unknown alien technology for the first time, Elena could not help feeling very small, despite commanding the largest ship in human space. Far away, in star systems Elena had never heard of, ancient monitoring stations detected the human ship's arrival. Automated systems that had been silent for thousands of years suddenly came to life. Warning signals began transmitting across the galaxy, carrying news that would change everything. Something new had entered the cosmic community, something powerful and unknown. And throughout the galaxy, representatives of 12 different alien species began to pay attention to the strange energy signature moving through their territory. The universe was about to learn about humanity, and humanity was about to learn they were not alone. Elena Vasquez and the crew of the Sovereign's Wrath had just taken the first step into a larger galaxy, one filled with wonders and dangers they could not yet imagine. The alien structure continued to power up, its lights growing brighter with each passing moment. Elena knew there was no turning back now. Whatever happened next would echo through history, marking the moment when humanity stopped being alone in the universe. 3 weeks had passed since the Sovereign's Wrath left the Helix Nebula. Captain Elena Vasquez watched the stars through the main viewing screen as her ship traveled through empty space between star systems. The alien structure they had found was now far behind them, but the data it had given them filled dozens of computer storage units. Dr. Marcus Chun had spent every waking hour studying the information. The alien beacon, as they now called it, had responded to human presence by activating systems that had been sleeping for thousands of years. It had shown them star maps of the galaxy with markers and symbols they did not understand. Most importantly, it had pointed them toward this region of space where something important waited. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park from his station, "long-range sensors are detecting a large object ahead. Distance approximately 500,000 kilometers. Elena stood up from her command chair. "What kind of object?" "It's big, Captain. Really big. The computer estimates it's about 3,000 kilometers across. But it's not moving and shows no energy readings, Elena frowned. Objects that size should be planets or moons, but planets did not float in empty space between stars. Take us closer, alert all departments. I want full scans the moment we're in range. The Sovereign's wrath changed course toward the mysterious object. As they got closer, their sensors began to paint a clearer picture of what they were approaching. It was not a natural celestial body. The surface showed clear signs of artificial construction with geometric patterns and structures. That could only have been built by intelligent beings. "My God," whispered Dr. Chun as the images appeared on his screen. "Captain, this is some kind of space station. But it's older than anything I've ever seen. The metal shows signs of age that suggest it's been here for millions of years." Elena studied the massive structure on the main screen. It looked like a city that had been built in space and then abandoned. Towers and buildings connected by bridges and tunnels covered its surface. Some sections seemed to have been damaged by meteor impacts or perhaps weapons fire. "Any signs of life?" Elena asked. "Negative," reported Commander Kim from the tactical station. "No energy signatures, no movement, no communications. It appears to be completely dead." Elena made her decision. "Prepare a shuttle team, Dr. Chun. I want you to lead the scientific survey. Commander Kim, select a security team to accompany them. Full environmental suits and portable life support." "Captain," Dr. Chun said, "if this station is as old as I think it is, we could be looking at the archaeological find of the century, maybe the millennium." 2 hours later, Dr. Chun and his team boarded Shuttle 3 for the journey to the alien station. Elena watched from the bridge as the small craft separated from the Sovereign's wrath and flew toward the ancient structure. The shuttle looked tiny compared to the massive station, like an insect approaching a mountain. "Shuttle 3. To Sovereign's wrath," came Dr. Chen's voice over the radio. "We're approaching what appears to be a docking bay. The opening is large enough for our shuttle, but I'm reading atmosphere inside. Very thin, but breathable for humans." "Proceed with caution, Doctor," Elena replied. "Maintain radio contact at all times." Elena watched the shuttle disappear into the station's docking bay. Minutes passed without contact. Then Dr. Chun's voice returned, filled with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this. The docking bay has artificial gravity and a breathable atmosphere. The technology is incredibly advanced, but it's definitely not human. We're proceeding into the main structure now." Back on the bridge, Elena paced nervously. Exploring alien ruins was dangerous work, but the potential knowledge they could gain was worth the risk. Humanity needed to understand what was out there in the galaxy. "Shuttle 3 to Sovereign's wrath," Dr. Chun called again, his voice crackling. "With static?" "Captain, the station is responding to our presence. Lights are coming on as we move through the corridors." "Some kind of automated system is activating?" Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Doctor, are you in any danger?" "I don't think so. The system seemed to be designed to help visitors, not harm them. We found what appears to be a control room. There are displays showing star charts and ... Wait, Captain, I think this station is trying to communicate with us." On the bridge, Lieutenant Park suddenly looked up from his console. "Captain, I'm detecting energy spikes from the station. Something big is powering up." Elena moved to his station and looked at the readings. Power levels throughout the alien structure were rising rapidly. Whatever Dr. Chun had found was waking up systems that had been dormant for ages. "Dr. Chun, report your status immediately," Elena ordered. "Captain, this is incredible." "The station's main computer is showing us holographic displays. Star maps of the entire galaxy with markers indicating. I think these are warnings. There are symbols that appear repeatedly near certain star systems." Elena felt her stomach tighten. "What kind of warnings?" "I'm not sure yet, but there's a pattern. The symbols appear near systems that show signs of advanced civilization, then disappear, as if entire species just vanished. And Captain, there's something else. The computer is showing images of creatures ... things that look like living ships. They're attacking planets and consuming everything. Doctor, I want you and your team back on the shuttle immediately, Elena ordered. We've learned enough for now. Captain, wait, the system is showing us something important. There's a message being displayed in multiple languages. Some of them appear to be human languages, but very old ones. It's like the station learned about different species and adapted its communication systems. Elena listened as Dr. Chun read the message aloud. The Devourers return. The silence ends. Prepare. The cycle begins again. Seek the unity. Find the alliance. The small ones cannot survive alone. Doctor, get back to the shuttle now. That's an order. Yes, Captain. We're heading back to the docking bay. Elena waited anxiously as Dr. Chin's team made their way back through the alien station. The power readings continued to climb, and she worried that the ancient systems might malfunction and trap her people inside. 20 minutes later, Shuttle 3 emerged from the station and began its return. Journey to the Sovereign's Wrath. Elena breathed a sigh of relief as the shuttle landed. Safely in the main hangar bay, Dr. Shun rushed to the bridge with a portable storage device containing copies of everything they had found. His eyes were bright with excitement and fear. Captain, this changes everything we thought we knew about the galaxy. This station is part of a network. A warning system left by a civilization that existed millions of years ago. They built these stations to warn future intelligent species about something called the Devourers. Elena studied the star charts Dr. Chun displayed on the main screen. The galaxy was marked with thousands of symbols indicating dead civilizations. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Advanced species would develop space travel, spread across star systems, and then suddenly disappear. According to the records, the Devourers appear every few million years. They consume entire civilizations, then retreat to the space between galaxies. The station's database suggests they're due to return soon. How soon? Elena asked. The timeline is difficult to interpret, but based on the galactic calendar system the station uses, it could be any time in the next few hundred years. Maybe sooner. Elena felt the weight of this knowledge settling on her shoulders. Humanity had just learned they were not alone in the universe. And the first message from their galactic neighbors was a warning about cosmic predators. There's more, Captain, Dr. Chun continued. The station detected our ship's approach weeks ago. It's been sending signals to other stations throughout the galaxy. Everyone knows we're here now. Lieutenant Park looked up from his console with concern. Captain, I'm detecting faint energy signatures at the edge of our sensor range. Multiple contacts moving in formation. Elena turned to the main screen. In the distance, barely visible even to their advanced sensors, were shapes that did not belong in empty space. Ships, alien ships, watching them. How many? Elena asked. At least a dozen, possibly more. They're maintaining their distance, but they're definitely observing us. Elena realized that humanity had crossed a line they could never step back over. They had announced their presence to a galaxy filled with ancient warnings and hidden watchers. The alien ships keeping their distance proved that intelligent life existed throughout the stars. And now they all knew about Earth. Set course for the next beacon location, Elena ordered. We came out here to make contact with alien intelligence. It looks like we're about to get our wish. As the Sovereign's Wrath began moving toward the coordinates the station had provided, Elena wondered what kind of reception humanity would receive from the galaxy's established civilizations. The warning about the Devourers suggested that survival required cooperation between species. But would the aliens want humans as allies, or would they see Earth's aggressive, warlike species as another threat to be eliminated? The alien ships continued to follow them, maintaining their careful distance. Elena knew that every move the Sovereign's Wrath made was being watched and analyzed by intelligences that had been studying the galaxy long before humans ever looked up at the stars. The universe was much larger and more dangerous than humanity had. The Sovereign's Wrath dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Elena Vasquez expected to find empty space based on their star charts, but what appeared on the main viewing screen made her crew gasp. In amazement, hundreds of alien ships filled the space around a massive gas giant. The vessels were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Some looked like living creatures with flowing organic curves, while others appeared to be made of crystal that caught and reflected the light from the distant star. A few ships seemed to be constructed from pure energy, glowing with colors that hurt to look at directly. "Captain," Lieutenant Park called out, his voice filled with wonder. "I'm counting over 300 vessels. They're arranged in defensive formations around the gas giant. It looks like they're protecting something." Elena moved to the tactical station where Commander Kim was studying the alien fleet. "Any hostile actions?" "None so far," Kim replied. "They've noticed us, but they're not moving to intercept. It's like they're too busy with something else to worry about us right now." Dr. Chun was already at his science station, scanning the alien ships with every sensor the Sovereign's wrath possessed. "Captain, these ships represent at least 8 different technologies, different species, different construction methods. This appears to be some kind of alliance or cooperation between multiple alien civilizations." Elena studied the formation. The ships were positioned like they were expecting an attack, but not from the direction of the human vessel. They were facing inward, toward the gas giant itself. "What's so important about that planet?" Elena wondered aloud. Her question was answered moments later when something emerged from the swirling clouds of the gas giant. It was a ship, but calling it a ship was like calling a hurricane a gentle breeze. The thing was enormous, easily 5 kilometers long, and it seemed to be alive. Its hull pulsed like a beating heart, and tentacle-like appendages writhed along its sides. "My God," whispered Dr. Chun. "That matches the descriptions from the warning station. That's a Devourer vessel." More ships began emerging from the gas giant's atmosphere. Each one was different from the others, but they all shared the same organic, living appearance. They moved through space like sea creatures swimming through water, graceful and deadly. The alien fleet immediately opened fire. Beams of energy and colors Elena had never seen shot across space toward the Devourer ships. Some weapons appeared to be made of solid light, while others looked like controlled lightning. The attack was coordinated and powerful, but Elena watched in horror as the energy beams simply disappeared when they hit the Devourer vessels. "The Devourers are absorbing the weapons fire," Dr. Chun reported. "Their hulls seem to consume energy and matter. The alien weapons aren't having any effect." The Devourer ships began to fight back. Instead of firing weapons, they extended long tendrils that reached across space to touch the alien vessels. Wherever the tendrils made contact, the alien ships began to dissolve. Metal, crystal, and energy constructions all crumbled under the Devourer's touch. Elena watched as ship after ship in the alien fleet was destroyed or consumed. The defenders were brave, but their weapons were useless against an enemy that could eat energy itself. "Captain," Commander Kim said urgently, "one of the larger alien vessels is breaking away from the formation. It's heading directly toward us." Elena looked at the approaching ship. It was about half the size of the Sovereign's Wrath, with a sleek design that looked like it had been carved from a single piece of dark metal. As it got closer, Elena could see weapon ports and sensor arrays that seemed familiar despite their alien origin. "They're trying to communicate," reported Lieutenant Park. "I'm receiving signals on multiple frequencies. The computer is attempting to translate." After several minutes, a voice came through the speakers. It was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together, but the universal translator was working well enough to understand the words. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Zephyr of the Hegemony. Third Fleet, commanding the vessel Harmony's Edge. You must leave this system immediately. The Devourers have returned, and your ship is not equipped to fight them." Elena activated the communication system. "Admiral Zephyr, this is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Human Space Forces vessel Sovereign's Wrath. We are here to offer assistance." There was a long pause before the alien admiral replied, "Human? We have no record of your species. Your vessel appears formidable, but you do not understand what you face. The Devourers cannot be stopped by conventional weapons. Elena looked at the battle raging near the gas giant. More alien ships were being consumed every minute. The hegemony fleet was losing badly, and it would not be long before they were completely destroyed. Admiral, our weapons are not conventional. Request permission to engage the enemy. Captain Vasquez, I cannot ask you to sacrifice your crew for a battle you cannot win. The Devourers have returned after millions of years of silence. Today marks the beginning of another great culling. Elena made her decision. Admiral, with respect, we're going to help whether you give permission or not. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. The Sovereign's wrath surged forward toward the Devourer ships. Elena's crew worked with precision born from years of training, even though none of them had ever faced anything like this before. Target the nearest Devourer vessel, Elena ordered. Fire all forward antimatter cannons. The space around the Sovereign's wrath lit up as massive beams of pure energy shot toward the closest Devourer ship. Elena held her breath, wondering if their weapons would be absorbed like the aliens had been. The antimatter beams struck the Devourer ship and tore through its hull like paper. The living vessel writhed and screamed, a sound that somehow carried through the vacuum of space. Parts of its organic structure boiled away into nothing. Direct hit, Commander Kim shouted. The target is severely damaged and falling back. The other Devourer ships immediately turned their attention to the human vessel. Several of them extended their consuming tendrils toward the Sovereign's wrath, but Elena was ready. Raise quantum-fold shields to maximum power, she ordered. The tendrils struck the human ship's shields and simply stopped. Instead of penetrating or being absorbed, the Devourer weapons seemed confused by the quantum-fold technology. The shields existed in multiple dimensions at once, making them impossible for the Devourers to consume. Continue firing, Elena commanded. Target the largest vessel. The Sovereign's wrath became a moving fortress of destruction. Its antimatter cannons fired continuously, each shot punching holes through Devourer ships that had seemed invincible moments before. The human vessel's shields held firm against every attack the living ships could make. Admiral Zefter-S voice came over the communication system, filled with amazement. Captain Vasquez, your weapons are actually damaging them. How is this possible? Antimatter doesn't care what it hits, Elena replied while watching another Devourer ship explode. When matter and antimatter meet, everything gets converted to energy. Even living ships that eat energy can't survive that. The battle turned quickly in favor of the defenders. With the Sovereign's wrath leading the attack, the remaining hegemony ships rallied and began supporting the human vessel. Their weapons still could not damage the Devourers directly, but they could provide cover and tactical support. One by one, the Devourer ships were destroyed or driven back into the gas giant's atmosphere. The few survivors retreated deeper into the planet's clouds, apparently deciding that discretion was better than facing the human ship's devastating firepower. When the last Devourer vessel disappeared, Elena ordered her crew to stand down from battle stations. The immediate threat was over, but she knew this was just the beginning of something much larger. Admiral Zefter, this is Captain Vasquez. Request permission to come aboard your vessel for a face-to-face meeting. Captain, after what I have witnessed today, you have my permission to do whatever you wish. Your species has just accomplished something we thought impossible. The Hegemony Council will want to meet with you immediately. Elena looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. They had just fought the first battle between humanity and alien forces, and they had won decisively. But the victory came with the knowledge that the galaxy was full of threats that made human conflicts seem like children's games. Dr. Chun, prepare a full report on everything we learned about the Devourers, Elena ordered. Commander Kim, I want damage reports from all departments. Lieutenant Park, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've made first contact and it's complicated. As the Sovereign's wrath moved toward Admiral Zefter-S ship, Elena realized that humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. They had arrived as unknown newcomers and immediately proven themselves capable of fighting enemies that had terrorized civilizations for millions of years. The universe would never look at humanity the same way again. And Elena suspected that humanity would never look at itself the same way either. They were no longer alone, and they were no longer the underdogs. They had become the cavalry, arriving just in time to save civilizations that had been fighting, losing battles for longer than human history. The question now was what the galaxy would do with this new knowledge. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the main conference room of the Sovereign's Wrath, looking at the most unusual gathering in human history. 12 different alien species sat around a specially built table, each one stranger than the last. Admiral Zephyr, a reptilian creature with golden scales and bright yellow eyes, sat directly across from her. To his left was Ambassador Creedle, whose crystalline body caught the light and threw rainbow patterns across the walls. The meeting had been going on for 6 hours, and Elena could feel the tension growing stronger with each passing minute. News of humanity's victory against the Devourers had spread across the galaxy faster than their ships could travel. Every species in the hegemony wanted to know about these new aliens who could do what they thought was impossible. "Captain Vasquez," said Ambassador Veltar, a being that looked like living light contained in a humanoid shape, "your species has created a serious problem for galactic stability. For 2,000 years, the hegemony has maintained peace by avoiding the kind of aggressive advancement that attracts cosmic predators." Elena kept her voice calm and respectful. "Ambassador, we didn't know about the Devourers or galactic politics when we began our expansion. We were simply exploring and trying to understand our place in the universe." Dr. Rebecca Torres, humanity's chief diplomat, leaned forward in her chair. She had arrived on a fast courier ship 3 days after the battle, along with a team of Earth's best linguists and cultural experts. "The hegemony's approach has clearly worked for maintaining your civilizations, but it didn't prevent the Devourers from returning. Perhaps it's time to consider new strategies." Admiral Zephyr made a sound that the universal translator interpreted as thoughtful agreement. "Dr. Torres speaks truth. Our defensive posture has preserved us, but it has not eliminated the threat. The humans demonstrated that the Devourers can be defeated with sufficient firepower. Firepower that could also be turned against us," growled Ambassador Threkener, a bear-like creature with thick fur and sharp claws. "How do we know these humans won't decide we're the next threat to eliminate?" Elena understood their fear. The Sovereign's Wrath could probably destroy any single ship in the hegemony fleet, and the aliens knew it. They had spent millennia avoiding conflict and sudden changes, and humanity represented the biggest change the galaxy had seen in ages. "Ambassador Threkener," Elena said, "if we wanted to conquer you, would we be sitting here talking? We could have attacked Admiral Zephyr's fleet instead of helping it. We chose to save your ships and crews instead of taking advantage of a weakened enemy." The aquatic representative, Ambassador Flowstream, spoke through a water-filled breathing apparatus. "The humans' actions do suggest peaceful intentions, but their capabilities remain concerning. Our intelligence reports indicate they have built other vessels similar to this one." Dr. Torres nodded. "Earth currently has 3 more Titan-class ships under construction, with plans for additional vessels if needed. But these ships are being built for exploration and defense, not conquest." "That is what concerns us," said the insect-like ambassador. Clickthrin, her multiple eyes focusing on Dr. Torres. "Defense against what? Your species seems to expect conflict even when none exists." Elena realized this was the heart of the problem. Humanity had developed as a warlike species, constantly fighting and competing with each other. The aliens had evolved differently, learning cooperation and caution over millions of years. To them, human behavior looked dangerously aggressive. "Our history has been violent," Elena admitted. "We fought wars and made mistakes. But we've also learned from those mistakes. We've learned that cooperation is stronger than conflict, and that exploration brings more benefits than conquest." The meeting was interrupted by Lieutenant Park's voice over the communication system. "Captain, we're receiving urgent transmissions from deep space monitoring stations. Priority Alpha. Elena excused herself and went to the bridge where Park was studying data streams from across the galaxy. The information was being translated by their best computers, but even the simplified version was frightening. Captain, the monitoring stations are detecting massive gravitational distortions beyond the galactic rim. Something incredibly large is moving through intergalactic space toward our galaxy. Elena felt her blood turn cold. How large? The computer estimates the objects are roughly the size of solar systems. Multiple contacts moving in formation. Estimated arrival time at the galactic edge is between 6 months and 2 years. Elena returned to the conference room with this new information. When she shared the data, the alien representatives fell silent. Ambassador Creedle's crystalline body began to glow brighter, which Dr. Torres had learned indicated extreme stress in his species. This changes everything, Admiral Zefter said finally. The Devourers we fought were scouts. The real threat is still coming. Dr. Torres looked at the star charts showing the approaching objects. What are we looking at exactly? The shepherds, whispered Ambassador Veltar. The ancient records speak of them. They are the masters of the Devourers. Every few million years they return to tend their garden. Elena didn't like the sound of that. What does that mean? Admiral Zefter explained with the patience of someone who had studied ancient history for decades. The shepherds view the galaxy as their property. When civilizations become too advanced or too numerous, they send the Devourers to reduce the population. If that fails, they come themselves to start over completely. How do you start over a galaxy? Dr. Torres asked. By sterilizing every world that shows signs of advanced life, Ambassador Thrakener growled. The ancient record suggests they have done this at least 3 times in galactic history. Each time, they leave only primitive life forms to evolve again over millions of years. Elena sat down heavily in her chair. Humanity had stumbled into a situation beyond their worst nightmares. They had thought finding alien life would be the greatest discovery in human history. Instead, they had learned that the galaxy was a carefully maintained farm, and the farmers were coming back to harvest the crop. How many ships can the hegemony assemble? Elena asked. Admiral Zefter consulted his personal data device. Perhaps 10,000 vessels from all member species combined. But Captain, you saw how ineffective our weapons were against just the scouts. What hope do we have against the masters themselves? Elena looked around the table at the faces of 12 different species. Fear was universal, it seemed. But so was the will to survive. We need to combine our technologies, she said. Your species have had millions of years to develop sciences that humanity has never imagined. Our weapons proved effective against the Devourers, but you have knowledge we lack. Dr. Torres pulled up holographic displays showing the Sovereigns. Roth's technical specifications. Our antimatter technology is powerful, but we've only been using it for 300 years. Your civilizations must have discoveries that we can adapt and improve. Ambassador Creedle's body began to pulse with different colors as he considered the proposal. The Resonant Collective has developed quantum crystalline materials that could enhance your ship's defensive capabilities. The crystal matrices could be integrated with your existing armor. The Luminal Union has perfected energy-to-matter conversion on a massive scale, added Ambassador Veltar. Your reactors could be enhanced to provide power levels we thought impossible. Elena felt hope beginning to grow. What about the other species? What technologies could they contribute? One by one, the alien representatives began to share information that their species had kept secret for thousands of years. The aquatic flow stream described bio-neural computing systems that could make ships think and react faster than any crew. The insectoid Clickthrin explained hive mind coordination techniques that could link entire fleets into a single fighting force. There is one problem, Admiral Zefter said when the initial enthusiasm died down. Combining all these technologies will take time, years, perhaps decades. The shepherds will arrive long before we can properly prepare. Elena smiled for the first time since the meeting began. Admiral, you're thinking like people who have had millions of years to develop technology. Slowly and carefully. Humans don't work that way. When we're threatened, we work faster than should be possible. How much faster? Dr. Torres asked. Earth shipyards are already beginning modifications to the 3 new Titan-class vessels based on data from our first contact. With hegemony technology added to the mix, we could have a prototype ready in 6 months. The alien representatives looked at each other with expressions that the universal translator couldn't interpret, but Elena could guess what they meant. Humans were proposing to do in months what would normally take their species decades. Captain Vasquez, Ambassador Veltar said slowly, your species continues to surprise us. Very well, the hegemony formally requests an alliance with humanity. We will share our most advanced technologies if you will help us prepare for the coming threat. Elena stood up and extended her hand to Admiral Zefter, who grasped it with his scaled fingers. Admiral, you have an alliance. Humanity doesn't abandon its friends. As the meeting ended and the alien representatives prepared to return to their ships, Elena realized that humanity had just become the leaders of a galactic alliance. Captain Elena Vasquez barely recognized her own ship. The Sovereign's wrath had been transformed over the past 8 months into something that was part human engineering and part alien miracle. Crystalline armor from the Resonant Collective covered the hull like living scales that could adapt to different types of damage. Luminal energy cores powered systems that human scientists were still trying to understand. Bioneural networks from the Aquarian Federation made the ship think and react faster than any human crew could manage. Standing on the bridge, Elena looked out at the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Over 12,000 ships from 13 different species formed a defensive line at the edge of the galaxy. Human vessels worked alongside alien craft in formations that had been practiced hundreds of times over the past months. Captain, Lieutenant Park called from his station. We're receiving the final status reports from all fleet commanders. Everyone is ready. Elena nodded, though she felt far from ready herself. Long-range sensors had confirmed their worst fears 3 days ago. The shepherds were not just coming, they were almost here. The objects approaching from intergalactic space were even larger than the monitoring stations had estimated. Each one was the size of Earth's solar system, and there were dozens of them. Any word from Earth? Elena asked. Admiral Chun sends his regards, Park replied. The other 3 Titan-class ships are still under construction, but they won't be ready for another year at minimum. Elena had expected as much. Even with human speed and determination, building ships that incorporated technologies from 12 alien species took time. The Sovereign's wrath was their prototype, their proof that the alliance could work. If they failed here, there would be no second chance. Dr. Marcus Chun approached from his science station, carrying a datapad filled with the latest intelligence about their enemies. Captain, we've learned more about the shepherds from the ancient databases. They're not just shipbuilders. They're gardeners on a cosmic scale. Elena took the datapad and studied the translated information. The shepherds had been managing the galaxy for over 1 billion years, allowing civilizations to grow until they reached a certain level of advancement, then harvesting them to start the cycle over again. To them, intelligent species were just another crop to be managed. How many times have they done this? Elena asked. At least 5 complete cycles that we can document, Dr. Chun replied. Each time, they leave only primitive life forms to evolve again. The current galactic civilization is the 6th generation of intelligent life in our galaxy. Elena felt the weight of that knowledge. Every species in the hegemony was descended from survivors of previous harvests, scattered refugees who had hidden on primitive worlds while their advanced civilizations were destroyed. The shepherds had been doing this since before Earth's sun was born. Captain, Commander Kim called from the tactical station, the advanced scouts are reporting contact with shepherd vessels. Distance approximately 1 light-year and closing. Elena moved to the main viewing screen, which now showed a tactical display of the entire galactic edge. Red dots representing Shepherd forces were moving steadily toward the defensive line. There were so many of them that the computer had stopped counting after 10,000 contacts. All ships, this is Captain Vasquez aboard the Sovereign's Wrath, Elena announced over the fleet communication system. Remember your training. Stay in formation, follow your assigned roles, and trust your alien allies. Humanity didn't come this far to give up now. Admiral Zeftar's voice came over the command channel from his flagship. Captain Vasquez, it has been an honor serving alongside your species. Whatever happens today, the galaxy will remember that we stood together. Elena smiled grimly. Admiral, we're not planning to be remembered. We're planning to win. The first Shepherd vessels came into visual range an hour later. Elena had thought. The Devourer ships were large, but these were beyond comprehension. Each Shepherd craft was the size of a small moon, with surfaces that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. They moved through space with the calm confidence of gardeners checking their crops. My God, whispered Dr. Chun. How do you fight? Something that big? Elena was wondering the same thing when Lieutenant Park announced contact. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the lead Shepherd vessel. It's using our own communication frequencies. Put it through, Elena ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was perfectly calm and oddly pleasant, like a teacher addressing students. Young civilizations of the sixth cycle, I am Tender Prime of the Shepherd Collective. Your resistance is noted but unnecessary. The harvest has begun. Please cease all defensive actions and report to designated collection points for processing. Elena activated her microphone. Tender Prime, this is Captain Elena Vasquez representing the Galactic Defense Alliance. We refuse your harvest. This galaxy belongs to the species that live in it. There was a pause before Tender Prime responded, and Elena thought she heard something like amusement in the voice. Captain Vasquez of the human species, your development has been remarkable. In only 300 years, you have achieved what usually takes civilizations millennia. However, this rapid advancement is precisely why the harvest is necessary. We're not crops to be harvested, Elena replied. We're intelligent beings with the right to exist. All intelligent species believe they are special, Tender Prime said patiently. The fifth cycle said the same thing, as did the fourth, third, second, and first. You will join them in the archives, where your knowledge and culture will be preserved. For study, Elena realized that argument was useless. The Shepherds had done this so many times that they had heard every possible objection. To them, this was just another day at work. All ships, prepare for combat, Elena ordered. Target the largest Shepherd vessels, fire everything we have. A combined fleet opened fire with weapons that represented the best technology of 13 species. Human antimatter cannons fired alongside resonant crystal beams and luminal energy weapons. The space between the fleets lit up like a new star as thousands of ships unleashed their full firepower. Elena watched the weapons strike the Shepherd vessels and felt her heart sink. The enemy ships absorbed the attacks without any visible damage. Their liquid metal hulls simply reformed around any damage, healing instantly. Captain, Commander Kim reported, our weapons are having minimal effect. The Shepherd ships are adapting to everything we throw at them. Tender Prime's voice returned to the communication channel, still perfectly calm. An impressive display, but futile. Your weapons cannot harm what you do not understand. Shepherd vessels exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Your three-dimensional attacks simply pass through the spaces where we are not. Elena felt despair beginning to grow, but she forced it down. There had to be a way to fight back. Humanity didn't survive this long by giving up when things looked impossible. Dr. Chun, she called, is there anything in the ancient databases about how previous civilizations fought the Shepherds? Dr. Chun was frantically searching through data files when his expression suddenly changed. Captain, there's something here. The databases mention a weapon called the Unity Field. It was developed by the fifth cycle but never deployed before they were harvested. What does it do? Elena asked. It synchronizes quantum fields across multiple dimensions simultaneously. If we could generate one large enough, it might force the Shepherd ships into our dimension where our weapons could damage them. Elena looked at the tactical display. More Shepherd vessels were arriving every minute, and the Allied fleet was already taking casualties. They needed to act fast. "Can we build this unity field?" Elena asked. "Not build," Dr. Chun replied excitedly. "Generate. If every ship in the fleet synchronizes their quantum fold shields and resonates them at the same frequency, we might be able to create a field large enough to affect the Shepherd fleet." Elena activated the fleet communication system. "All ships. This is the Sovereign's Wrath. We're transmitting technical specifications for a synchronized shield resonance. Every vessel needs to match our quantum frequency exactly." Admiral Zefter's voice came back immediately. "Captain, attempting to synchronize that many different shield systems could cause cascade failures. We could lose half the fleet." "Admiral," Elena replied, "if we don't try this, we lose everything anyway." For the next 10 minutes, engineers throughout the Allied fleet worked frantically to modify their shield systems. Elena watched as ship after ship reported ready status. When the last vessel confirmed synchronization, she took a deep breath. "All ships activate unity field on my mark, 3.2. Mark." The space around the Allied fleet began to glow with an energy that hurt to look at directly. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as thousands of quantum fold shields resonated in perfect harmony. The effect spread outward like a wave, washing over the Shepherd vessels. For the first time since the battle began, the enemy ships showed signs of damage. Their liquid metal hulls solidified and became brittle. The confident movement of the Shepherd fleet became clumsy and uncertain. "All ships, fire everything," Elena ordered. This time the weapons found their mark. Antimatter beams tore through. Shepherd hulls that could no longer adapt and reform. Crystal weapons.